Hello everyone, this is Zong. Today I'm bringing you the game To put it simply, it's a platform puzzle game where you place and donate bombs. Today what we are going to implement is its core bomb interaction system. Let's just look at our rather ugly video one. Basically, the most fundamental features like placing bomb, donating bombs, and the chain explosion have already been implemented. Now let's go through the code. First is the player controller, which mainly handles checks on the player's actions. For example, if your feet are on the ground or on a bomb, and the number of bombs hasn't exceeded the maximum, you can place a bomb beneath your feet. If you press a key while having bombs available, it will detonate the first one you place. The core part lies in the bomb itself, which mainly uses the overlap box function. This function returns all colliders within a defined area. Let's use the box here, so it's the rectangle centered at the selected point. You could also use a circle, but since the explosion range in the game is a cross-shape, I implemented it with two boxes combined with a hash. You can see the explosion range. It's a cross grid, just like in the game. When the bomb explodes, all colliders within range are pushed by a force. If you are above, you get an upward force, below, a downward force, left, a leftward force, right, a rightward force. My current code isn't great, and I will show you a better version in the second half of the video. Overall, the implementation is very simple. Next, we enter a part I really enjoy and will likely discuss in every future episode: extending game mechanics. What do I mean by extending game mechanics? First, everyone must understand game mechanics cannot really be plagiarized. If you can integrate someone else's mechanics visually into your own game, then they become yours. Because this process itself requires a lot of thought. Back to the main point, I originally wanted to extend this game, but after I think about it for a long time, I gave up. No matter how I tried to expand it, it would inevitably introduce new mechanics. There might be water currents that carry bombs along, or gravity that reverses their direction. But then the game won't turn into a mechanics-locked game rather than a knowledge-locked game, which isn't the outcome I wanted. Even simply increasing the maximum number of bombs adds little real value. It feels like old wine in a new bottle. Looking back at the game, in the green jungle we learned to place bomb on our hand. In the swamp, we learned offset placement. In the glacier, we consolidate our knowledge. By then, we had already unlocked the knowledge-based puzzles, and what remained were mechanics-based locals. For example, teleportation that perceive monitor. So after a day of reflection, I thought maybe the developer didn't avoid making the game longer on purpose. Perhaps it was just too difficult to do that. Since simply extending mechanics doesn't work, let's switch perspective. In this game, the protagonist is a cat player that plays bombs. By detonating bombs, it can change jump directions, and break objects. But what if our track itself was a bomb? Using recoil from explosion, we could also achieve jumps, diagonal jumps, and object destruction. So I went ahead and implemented it. First, the red box shows the blast videos when the player detonates themselves. If there are immovable objects in the radius, the player receives recoil, enabling a jump. What about double jumps? That's easy too. As long as there is still ground in the red box, pressing jump again allows another boost. In theory, you could jump infinitely, but in practice, that's limited by hand speed. usually only 12. And myself, I couldn't manage 3. This is what I found most magical. Without extra code constraints, the core algebra alone naturally allows double jumps. Next, by placing objects, we can add horizontal force to cross transit. By putting a bomb above our head, we can blast ourselves downward. I even added a bridge that allows downward passage when hit by a downward force, so you can reach the next level. Since I hadn't figured out a clear way to implement placing bombs on the head, I hacked it by directly spawning one there. Finally, let's look at the code. Some parts are empty or just helps for convenience. The bridge logical are explained earlier, just for controlling on and off. The player controller script hasn't changed much, just reorganized for ability and easier future extensions. Originally it spawned bombs, but now it spawns obstacles, which may later integrate into other mechanics. The logical is similar. If the space is empty and within the limit, place 1. Previously, pressing the key detonated the first bomb. Now it detonates yourself. Since it's self-detonation, I added a chapter marker for clarity. As for bombs, the key change was separating horizontal and vertical handling. Previously they were combined, which caused bugs. Separating them is less efficient, but much more stable. Horizontal gives left and right force. Vertical gives up and down force. Downward explosion also tackles the bridge. Eventually, bridges should be managed by a proper managed system. For now, this is another hack. The logical is expandable. For example, limiting maximum upward force. Overall, the chances from before are small. Instead of spraying an object with a bomb separately attached, the bomb script is now directly part of the player. Yet such a small adjustment results in a completely different control experiences. That's the magic of game mechanics. So the core idea of this episode is there is no copy, only borrow. By viewing the same game from a different perspective, you can generate new thoughts and ideas. I will share the code in the group. Feel free to download, try it out, and expand it yourself. It has a lot of expansion potential since its core logical is very interesting. If I have time, I'll also continue extending it by myself. This is all for today's video. If you learned something, please support with a like or subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.